Thank you all for taking time out today from your busy schedules and joining Net's live podcast series premiere with our first podcast on overseas jobs and business opportunities. This is a CSR initiative by Nets International to help the youth and talented individuals find the right career path and opportunities for the future. Here I would like to introduce the guest today. First of all, Mr. Jahangir Ahmad. Mr. Jahangir Ahmad is Group MD Nets International and CEO of Nets UK. He's a second generation serial entrepreneur who has transformed a well-known Pakistani system integrators, national engineers, into a global technology services and solutions provider, Nets International. Jahangir is an electrical engineer from Georgia Tech Institute, USA, worked in Sprint, USA and also in Wateen Telecom as General Manager, Products and Marketing. Jahangir's vision is to provide employment to the masses by uplifting their skills and abilities through training and skills development. In line with this vision, he is leading by example through his CSR efforts of providing free of cost training to young individuals and then also ensuring that placements in training domestically and internationally. Then we have Mr. Veqar Islam. Mr. Veqar Islam is a corporate executive turned entrepreneur. He has held senior positions at Comtel Corporation, Nokia Siemens and NCR Corporation. He started his entrepreneurial journey from Touchpoint. Currently, he is the director of Jaffer Group as well as the director and CEO of Jaffer Business Systems. Jaffer Business Systems, JBS, is one of the oldest IT companies of Pakistan, known for its global partnership and for being a purpose-led organization. Under Veqar's leadership, the company has moved from a single company to a group of companies with Blue Tech Consulting, Hisab Kitab, ENA, and JBS Incorporated in USA. Veqar is known for being a prominent public speaker and social worker. He is also part of the Prime Minister's IT Task Force and policy board member of SECP. His successes come due to his out-of-the-box approach and top-class leadership. He is known for being humble, accessible, and approachable. And finally, we have Mr. Ahmad Manzoor. Mr. Ahmad is the founder and CEO of Pakistan Blockchain Institute, Pakistan Blockchain Research Center, ANZ Technologies, and Pakistan Smart Contract Academy. Ahmad Manzoor has over 22 years of experience in ICT solutions architecture and pre-sales field and has been providing training since last 14 years in Pakistan and internationally. He has given over 1,000 talks as public speaker globally. He is also highly decorated with over 150 certifications and is serving as a corporate trainer in multiple well-known organizations. Additionally, Mr. Ahmad Manzoor is CTO for Blockchain Center of Pakistan. He is member KPK Advisory Board for Digital Currency and Crypto Economic Ecosystem. He is Chief Business Development Officer and co-founder at Immutus Supply Chain on Blockchain, part of the seven tech ventures which are providing services in the fields of software development, services, digital marketing, fitness, and HR. Advisory board member of Arab MTech conferences, fellow researcher and expert at Digital Euro, and he is board member of multiple well-known universities of Pakistan.
Want to build entrepreneurial spirit, not that I would say entrepreneurial spirit, but the ability to groom and train people to come and join businesses in the same field, because even a single business can generate so much employment rather than a single job opportunity. So this program, we, as I mentioned, is there to bridge this gap. Second part is the placement, and the third thing is that the continuously people want guidance during their career. So career counseling itself in our field is very important. That how do you go from grade 1 to grade 10? What are the different career ladders you need to go? How do you get them? So that they can see light, not only the light at the end of the tunnel, they should see a very clear path that this is where I can get to. So for today's discussion from Net's perspective, the opportunities that I'm going to talk about more are on the access network side, which is the fiber side. By fiber, what I mean is laying fiber overground, underground, splicing, termination, home connections. We're looking for technicians, we're looking for project coordinators, we're looking for project managers. And we see a lot of potential in this field because the concept of every house now having to get at least minimum gigabit fiber, the concepts of driverless cars which are coming in the future, the concept of virtual reality, all these things are driving the infrastructure of fiber at a much bigger pace in the developed worlds. Um, so that's the idea, Adil. That's what we have gone about, and we wanted to share this with maximum people in the developing countries. Since we started from Pakistan, we grew in Middle East, and we are expanding overseas. So we feel even as businesses, this is our corporate social responsibility to give information and the right information to the people to track a path which is a known path. And what we have seen people is that they're taking immigration routes by buying passports, coming through illegal means via sea routes, and all kind of people hanging in the airplane tires. People coming to UK just for education, but as soon as they land, they stop taking education and they're doing part-time jobs. So if there is opportunity to go through a proper path, um, instead of going through these risky paths and paths which destroys the reputation of the countries they're coming from. So that is something we should tell people, guide people, and get them on the right track.
Right. Excellent. So continuing on that, I would take the first question to you again, Jahangir. When you go out to hire a resource, you don't find any resources. So is it capacity building essential? And this question will be to all the guests as well. So Jahangir, would you give us an answer on that?
Yeah, this is something what we have seen, Adil, and I think Veqar sir would also agree on the same. Is that even in the local market, when we go to find people, we don't find good people. Either they're not trained, either they're not skilled enough. So we have always seen that the demand for good people is always there. It is just that in the technology lines, they just need to be put in the right path, for which training is essential. Career counseling through mentors or by their immediate managers is very important. And it's both theoretical training as well as practical training. I can give you an example that we started in UK only about 3 years ago. The 5 people we hired in the beginning, almost all of them are managers, and they are managing more than 10 to 15 people under them, while they did not have any prior management expertise. So it's a step-by-step plan, and once you give the guys the right knowledge, the right environment, I've seen that young people pick those things up very early and very confidently.
Right. So over to you, Mr. Veqar. Same question. What are your thoughts about it? That when you go out to hire resources, you don't find it. So how about capacity building for companies and having your experience? What are your thoughts about it?
So I think, look, there are many ways to look at this problem, and especially because many of the people possibly on the call as well belong to the technology area. So generally, they're saying that in technology, 5 to 7 years is a lifetime. So that by definition means that every 5 to 7 years you have to, as they say, unlearn, learn, and relearn, right?
Right.
So that you stay abreast with how technology is moving and how you stay relevant, right? So one obligation for this is, of course, to the person who needs to make a career. And to all the people out there, I think, so what keeps me awake at night? Now, these days in Pakistan, many things keep you awake, but what keeps you awake as a chief executive? For me, what keeps me awake is after 5 years, will my company and the work that I do will be relevant or not? And that's the business side of it. I would want every young person or every person out there to ask this question to themselves. Will their skill be relevant 5 years from now or not? If the answer is yes, they are in a good shape. If the answer is maybe, they need to start getting a firm answer to it. And if the answer is no, they need to immediately start working towards reskilling themselves so that they stay relevant. Staying relevant is the single most challenge that the millennials and Gen Z will continue to face throughout their career. And that is what the businesses will continue to face and have been facing in times to come. So that's the one side of it. Then
Right.
other side of it is the recruitment. Uh, there will always be time when you don't find an ideal. You know, as they say, perfect is the enemy of good, right? So sometime in our quest for perfect, we forget the good, and then the good goes somewhere else. So, and there's another saying which says, you and you know, it is I think attributed to Warren Buffett. I don't know if it is his quote or not, that you hire people for three things. You hire people for attitude and energy and integrity. And of course, if you don't have integrity, he says you forget the first two. But the first one is important, and which is what many recruiters do not look enough when hiring. That's the attitude piece. If the person has the right foundation and right fundamentals, even if he doesn't have the skill, you know, skills can always be taught. And as I'm saying, skill is something which will evolving so rapidly and will continue to evolve, that if you always look for the perfect skill and a perfect match, you may not find it. So organizations, not just as part of their DNA, but also as good corporate citizens, have this obligation to keep looking for people with good fundamentals, may not have the right skill, but the right attitude, which can then be groomed to ensure that they can be ready for you. Yes, that means maybe a couple of months of investment or 3 months of investment, but that is fine. That 3 months of investment in people is worth a lot more than investing in few trips here and there. Because at the end, the ROI for investing in people is the fastest and is the biggest. And that's something that many organizations and many recruiters and managers miss out. I mean, Jahangir was giving an example of 5 or 10 people when you hired, and they are in 3 years are a manager. But they were not manager material 3 years ago. He was willing to take risk on them because possibly the attitude was right, the fundamentals were right, the foundations were right, and he thought he can groom them. So businesses, while they are willing to take risks on investing in businesses, on making decision on investment, I've seen many managers or leaders are incredibly reluctant to take risk on people, and especially take risk on young people. I, for one, and I'm like a living example, I think my career is made by young people. I've always trusted them. I've always banked on them. I've always taken risk on them, and they've helped me grow in life. So, you know, it is very important for businesses to understand that not always you will get perfect. If you get someone with right attitude, good fundamentals, skills can always be developed. Skills can always be taught. Go for them. Right? And not just you will fulfill your obligation, but you will do greater good to your organization yourselves, because you will be having people who will be committed to you for many years because they think they will owe their careers to you. So their loyalty to the organization will be a lot different to people who you bring them ready-made, if that is the right word, and you think they'll continue with them or with you for a longer period of time. So that would be my take on the subject.
Great, brilliant, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Ahmad Manzoor, same question goes to you as well. Your thoughts that you know, when you go and hire people, you don't find resources, capacity building. What are your thoughts?
First, I would like to thank you for one thing, for you and Jahangir साहब actually. बात यह है कि मैं आज अपने मेंटोर के साथ एक स्टेज शेयर कर रहा हूँ, तो जहांगीर साहब थैंक यू वेरी मच. और मैं एक वो बात नहीं करूँगा. बेसिकली आई एम एग्जांपल ऑफ दैट. यानी जहांगीर साहब ने जितना बिलीव मेरे पे किया बिकॉज ही नोज माय अप्स एंड डाउन्स। सर सही कह रहा हूँ? जो सर को मेरे अप्स एंड डाउन्स पता है सारे के सारे।
Brilliant.
तो
we would like to know a bit more about that.
एक्चुअली इन्होंने जितना मुझे बैकअप किया था ना, जब मैंने शफी नईम साहब के साथ काम शुरू किया और जहांगीर साहब ने टेक ओवर किया और he have backed me up like यानी you can do it just like that, you can do it, he trusted me with everything. So आज मैं यहाँ पे बैठा हुआ हूँ और आप सबके साथ बात कर रहा हूँ या पब्लिक स्पीकिंग कर रहा हूँ, ये सारी चीजें कर रहा हूँ। he is one of those guys जिन्होंने मुझे हमेशा सपोर्ट किया माशाल्लाह। Then दूसरी बात आती है कि जो मैं जैसे कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग पे जो आपने बात की, तो हम लोग मैं एक एंटरप्रेन्योर हूँ और जिसे कहते हैं ना एक्सीडेंटल एंटरप्रेन्योर, सो यस आई एम दैट एक्सीडेंटल एंटरप्रेन्योर जो पहले जॉब्स करता रहा है और सारा कुछ। देन अभी भी जो मेरी टीम है, जैसे वकार भाई ने बात की है, अभी भी जो मेरी टीम है वो बेस्ड, कभी कभी हमारी मीटिंग हो ना तो मैं नॉर्मली कहता हूँ आई ट्रस्ट यू गाइस, तो वहाँ पे ना कुछ लोग कहते हैं सर इसका मतलब हम सिर्फ ट्रस्ट की बेस पे यहाँ पे हैं, नॉलेज का कोई लेना देना नहीं है। तो मैं उनको ना नॉर्मली एक बात करता होता हूँ कि यार हाँ नॉलेज आ जाएगा, नॉलेज बहुत छोटी चीज है पूरी चीज में। इफ ट्रस्ट इज देयर, योर एटीट्यूड इज राइट, देन एवरीथिंग यानी अनमैचेबल है मेरा। तो मेरा तो टेक इस पे यही है, यानी जो एक मैंने अपनी एग्जांपल दे दी आप लोगों को, और दूसरी बात ये कि यस ठीक है प्लीज।
Sir, brilliant sir, thank you for your answer and you are an example for all of us. Thank you for sharing your experience. Next question, I'll move on to Jahangir Saab aapse. What are the job opportunities in UAE and UK and for whom? ये एक हमारा टॉपिक भी है आज का, job and business opportunities. So what are the opportunities?
Yeah, so I will particularly talk about UK for now. So right now the broadband market is covered 42%. That means only 42% of homes in UK are connected via fiber. The government mandate is to connect at least 85% homes by 2025 and the remaining 15% to be done by 2030. And as we speak, there are job opportunities for fiber splicers, cable pullers, project coordinators, and the vacancies in the market is about 25,000. Even in Nets itself, we have got 50 vacancies. So 25,000 is a big number. And this number is only, I'm talking about the broadband market. I was looking at some statistics. There currently in UK, there's more than 1.3 million jobs in different industries, which is up for grabs. So that is why we feel there is a lot of opportunity, and most of the people we have got to work in UK are a combination of the people, about 50% from UK itself, and another 50% coming from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Libya. And they have settled in quite well within 3 to 6 months.
Great. Good to know that. My next question would be, I would start that question with Mr. Ahmad Manzoor, since he's been into the training segment. What is the importance of having training, career counseling and placement? And this question I would ask from all our guests, starting from Mr. Ahmad Manzoor.
या एक्चुअली इसका जो रोल है ना वो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बन जाता है कई दफ़ा। उसकी रीज़न ये है कि अगर आप किसी को पास, जैसे मेरा काम है, मैं लोगों को फ्यूचर टेक्नोलॉजीज के ऊपर ना अगले 10 साल दिखाता हूँ, तो अगर मैं बच्चों को ये नहीं बता पाऊंगा कि जी आपको इससे कब फ़ायदा होगा, एक तो वो हमारे दरमियान में कुछ ऐसे ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइडर्स भी हैं ना जो कहते हैं आज ये कोर्स करें कल $1000 कमा लें, ठीक है, तो दैट इज़ नॉट ट्रू ऑब्वियसली, ये हर बंदे को पता है। तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हम लोगों को जब ये बताएंगे ना कि आज जो आप चीज सीख रहे हैं इसका 5 साल बाद आपको फायदा होगा, तो या इसमें जो मार्केट बनेगी, जैसे अभी सर ने बात की है, तो अभी एआई की जो मार्केट है दैट इज गोइंग टू बी 23 ट्रिलियन इन 2030, 23 ट्रिलियन डॉलर्स। अब उसमें से आप कितना हिस्सा ले लेते हैं, दैट्स अनदर थिंग। तो अब वो एआई इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट के जी सिर्फ आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस रोबोट्स ने टेक ओवर कर लेना है, उसके अंदर IoT भी आता है, उसके अंदर नेटवर्क्स भी हैं, सर ने बात किया फाइबर कनेक्टिविटी, 5G, ब्लॉकचेन, ये तमाम टेक्नोलॉजीज को मिला के आप जब AI के प्रोडक्टिविटी लेवल पे पहुंचेंगे ना कि चीजें आपके लिए बेहतरी कर रही हैं, देन वो 23 ट्रिलियन है। अब उसके अंदर से आपका हिस्सा कितना है, दैट्स अप टू यू। तो हमें जब लोगों को हम ये बताएंगे ना कि जी आप जिस चीज पे अब ट्रेन हो रहे हैं, जिसका फायदा आपको 2 साल बाद होगा, 2 साल पहले आपने इस चीज को सीखना शुरू कर दिया, दैट मीन कि आप दुनिया से 2 साल आगे चल रहे हैं। तो मेरा ख्याल है कि लोगों को ज्यादा समझ में आएगी, पीपल गेट द आइडिया कि जी दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है। अभी हम उस आइडिया को पहुंचाने में ना थोड़ा से नाकाम रह जाते हैं, क्योंकि बच्चा पढ़ता कुछ है, इंटरव्यू कुछ और देता है, जॉब किसी और चीज की कर रहा होता है। सो ये अलमिया है हम लोगों का, राइट?
Alright. So, Mr. Veqar, जी जहांगीर साहब.
Just a quick one, since some audience people do not understand Urdu, so let's keep the mode as English, please.
Okay.
Okay. Ji Veqar Saab, over to you on the same question. What is the importance of having training, career counseling, and placement?
So, first is to understand, and again, I want to take the perspective of the organization as well as the individual. So, to the individual first, why do you get training? And very important that we understand the why and put everything, as they say, to this famous 5 why principle to get to the root cause. The reason you get education or training is to acquire knowledge. The reason for getting trained or to acquire knowledge is not to land for a better job. That's one of the outcome of it. But that's not the core reason why you get trained or why you get educated. Why it is important to understand this. It is important to understand because when your goal is to acquire knowledge, you would want to learn things. You would want to correct your foundation. You would want to get onto things so that you are able, it helps you perform better, right? And as a consequence, you will also land into better jobs, and because your learning is better than others, and you focused on why you are being educated, rather than landing in a good job, you will have better concepts, you will have better learnings, and you will be able to contribute better. Thus, not just you will land yourself into a good job, you will progress faster. Because your learning is a lot more than the other. Exactly the same thing for the organization as well. When you invest in training and development of people, you are not doing it to get them certified. You are not doing it because it looks good on your resume that I have X people certified. You're doing it because they become better productive people for you. They'll deliver better quality of service. They'll deliver customer satisfaction to a level that you could not have imagined. And in the bargain, they are certified as well. So very important that we understand the reasons of why people get educated and why training is essential. Purely from an ROI perspective, it is said that investing in human capital provides for the fastest ROI. Nothing else but human capital, because they multiply your investment. As long as you teach them well, as long as you keep them inspired and motivated, they will give you the returns on investment in a big way. So training and development and investment in people is one of the key components of any corporate. So one of the difference that you will find in typical local organizations, or organizations which have not scaled versus top corporates of the world. Top corporates invest like crazy in their people. Local companies, the first thing they want to save is on investment in people. So there is a DNA difference, if you like, in the way top corporates or corporates which are growing approach human capital versus companies which approach human capital as a cost center, as something
Right.
where they cut corners.
Mhm.
Top corporates never cut corners in investment in human capitals, hence they grow and hence they scale. So, and that's just a good example of why it is extremely important for institutions and corporations to invest in people and keep
Mm.
investing in that as part of your yearly budgets and training programs. I mean, I remember during my days with Nokia and NCR, Teradata, and Nokia Siemens, we
Mm.
used to do X number of hours every year mandatory for our training. Otherwise, your appraisals would not be done. So
Okay.
it was part of our DNA, irrespective of what level you were, to
Mm.
spend those many hours on training and development. And you had to take out time from your day-to-day schedule to invest in yourself, because these companies knew that if I don't invest in myself, I'll become redundant and my knowledge will become stale and my learning will not stay abreast with what is needed. So yeah, I mean, it is an essential part, and I wish local organizations, especially in our part of the world, they understand the importance of training. Cut everything else. Never cut investment in human capital. Never.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. Thank you for such an elaborate answer. And this is a very important point to invest in your people for all the organizations. Mr. Jahangir, over to you for the same importance of training and career counseling and placement. What are your thoughts?
So I've already commented on that a bit, but as Veqar has said, training is something which it helps people improve the productivity. It also helps them, stand out amongst other people. So training is essential, and it's not something done once. It's continuous, and training is not only on the field side, but training on their, management skills, training on improving their attitude, training to make them a well-rounded professional. That is very important, because I've seen people with absolutely dazzling, technical skills, but when it comes to dealing with people, they have a very limited skill set in that area. But career counseling, I believe, and now our program, with all the people who have given their profiles, we will be screening their profile such that we will be talking to them once a month to see what is the current state, what needs to be added for them to become a better professional from where they are right now. So I would say training, continuous training, career counseling again is very important, and that too has to be continuous. And the third thing is, Veqar sir has said that training should not be done from the angle of placement. That is correct, but if you get it done the right way, your chances of landing into a better opportunity, whether job or business, it increases anyways. So what we have done in the Access Network is that whichever people we planning to take in the next batch to UK, we have developed a 2-week training which we conducted about a couple of months ago, and there'll be trainings coming in every quarter around the same, so that it can be properly addressed.
Right, great. Being with you, Jahangir, the next question is actually related to you, since you know the UK market so well. So, what are the business opportunities in the UK market if we move the topic a bit towards the business opportunities side?
So, I would say that UK. Let's talk about the situation of UK before the Brexit side. Before Brexit, the resources and the companies were coming from the European countries, especially the Eastern European companies. A lot of technical manpower was coming from there to UK, and they did not have to have any residence visa to get to work in the UK. And secondly, similarly, companies had the same leverage because they could come and they could work with seamless movement of the people. The second thing which has happened is that whenever you were applying for jobs in UK, you had to post in the local newspapers, in the local media, at least for a couple of months before you were allowed to get people from abroad. So what that means is that since there are job opportunities where people can now come from all over the world except Europe, and businesses can take that opportunity to provide the scope-based businesses clubbed with the manpower to tap onto these opportunities. To give you an example, that there are 6 contractors which were working with us. They were not existing three years ago. Now, the two biggest subcontractors we're working with, 3CIX and Ali Enterprises, they both have collectively 18 teams which are working with them, and they are growing. And the kind of plans I see of growth, they seem to be growing at 100% growth rate, and both these people who are running the companies were doing jobs earlier on. So whenever there's opportunity in the market, it's an opportunity for jobs and it is an opportunity for business also. And normally what I've seen is that the clients in the UK, they prefer to give business, scope-based business as a turnkey projects to companies. So that is why there is a lot of potential for companies to come in, and the relaxation for companies to operate in the UK and the restrictions are far lower than they used to be. An example of that is that the innovator program by the UK immigration, plus the sole representative upon which Nets has come in as a branch company from Dubai. So these are the opportunities which has only come around in the last couple of years. So there is a lot of demand for businesses to come in, and the whole process is not more than 2 to 3 months. And we have seen it happen in our case and even in our partner's case. And as Nets, we are working very closely with our partners to impart the knowledge on the local standards, local certifications, because both of them are required. Then we also help them with the tooling and the vans. These are the kind of things we are providing so to make the journey a lot easier. And in fact, we're looking for technical people who, with this support, can form their own businesses. So with only 2 teams and with a capital of about £50,000, I see that individuals have a very decent chance of setting up business in the access network and the fiber side. And we'll be more than willing to work with them, not only for us, but they will be ready to storm the market, because we have only taken even less than 0.5% of the market share. So the market is open, opportunities are via us, and there are opportunities in the market to be tapped on.
Excellent. That's good to know, and for everyone to actually pay attention to it, that there are good business opportunities, especially in the access network in the UK market. And of course, you can know more about it when you read our blog as well, which has been out on our website, and the link has been shared on our social media pages. For next question, Veqar Saab, I would come to you first. That why would somebody move from job towards running an own business? Isn't it risky? Because you've been an entrepreneur yourself. So what are your thoughts?
So yeah, of course it is risky. I mean, but job is risky too. Who says job is not risky, right? If you want to grow in life, you got to take risks. People who move from one level to the other, their stake goes higher, and so are the risks. And when you go from one level to another higher, your stake goes higher and the risk goes bigger, right? So how many times have we heard people getting fired? I mean, these days, due to the global economic situation, aren't we seeing daily reports of thousands of people getting fired from jobs. So who says there is no risk? Just that we get into this illusion that because I have a job, hence nobody can fire me, right? But that's not true. The data suggests that is absolutely untrue. If you are continuing to add value to the organization, you are worth it for them. If you are not, they will not carry you beyond few months at best, and that too if you are an entrepreneur like Jahangir. Otherwise, the tolerance time sometimes is in weeks, right? So get out of this mindset that you can grow in life when there is no risk. You can't. Everyone grows in life, and I personally don't care whether you are in job or you are in an entrepreneurial world. You take risks, and sometimes the risk will pay off, other times it won't pay off. The chances of success and failures are there in both. It's your call what you enjoy more. So I did 27 years of corporate work and I loved every bit of it, right? I enjoyed it. I grew like crazy. It, gave me a lot of opportunities to learn. But last 8 years of entrepreneurship, my word, I love it more than anything that I've done in 27 years. This is real.
Excellent.
I'm flexible. I make my own decisions. I do things that I wanted to do in life, but couldn't because of all the corporate processes, systems, etc. Not that I'm saying I don't work with systems and processes, but I design them, learning from them in such a manner that it gives more opportunities for freedom to people. But more importantly, what gives me more freedom, right? Or what gives me more satisfaction. So when I used to work, of course, there were people who used to work under me, but when I'm not there, they're still working. They're still there, right? In some cases less, in other cases more. But now I take a lot of pride that I've contributed to creating more than 1,000 jobs because I'm an entrepreneur. When I was in job, I did not have the flexibility to do that. And that gives me motivation. That, wakes me up every single day and say, how can I contribute more towards helping people grow? And one of the passion that I have in my life, something that Jahangir alluded to in his opening remark, is to create more entrepreneurs and to help create more, right? And that is why, when you mentioned in my intro, JBS started with one company and now we have 5, and all of them are entrepreneurs who we have acquired or invested in so that we help them grow. And in next 5 years, I want to acquire 5 more. But more importantly, the vision is that looking at us as a group of 10 companies and 10 new entrepreneurs who are innovative, who are young, who are thinking, keeping this future relevance in mind. If other corporates in Pakistan, as an example, start thinking of creating 10 more, then 10 more. So imagine we'll have hundreds or thousands of new entrepreneurs, and the world needs more entrepreneurs. But more importantly, the world needs a lot more entrepreneurial thinking. And corporates need to encourage people with entrepreneurial thinking, which means letting them unleash the potential that they have rather than shackling them and chaining their thought process into thinking in a certain manner. Only when you unleash or give people the freedom to express themselves and unleash their potential, they will deliver the value for which they exist. And I think entrepreneurship provides you with the best of opportunities to unleash not just your potential, but also the potential of the people. And in the bargain, if there is risk, so be it. Okay. It's there in job as well. Take it.
Absolutely. Great, sir. Thank you for the elaborate answer. Mr. Ahmad Manzoor, what are your thoughts about it?
Actually, the thing is, I have worked for the different companies for 18 years, right? So I always been depressed, and that was too much. Like, but when I come to the entrepreneurship, now I am free. The most important thing or most funny thing I normally say to my sessions, that whenever I want to wake up, whenever I want to sleep, I can do that. That's easy for me, right? So I can make my own routine. So that's important. The other thing is we need to move from project management nation to product management nation. We are not developing any product right now. So that's the problem actually. Like when people talk about that we are doing exports or something, like we are exporting services actually. We are not exporting any products. That is not the IT products. So we need to work on that as well. So for that we need people who will work for that. Like we need entrepreneurs to do that, not somebody who is already working on some projects and we hire them, so they already deploy the project. They are not going to make some new product, because we need some entrepreneurial mind, like Veqar bhai said. So we need to work on that. So my take is on that.
Right, great. Thank you for your answer, Mr. Jahangir. What do you think? Having run the business and then went into a job and then came back and then expanded NITS into a global multinational. What are your thoughts about it?
I think Veqar Saab and Ahmad has responded to most of the things. The only comment I would say is that people ask too many questions around everyone and trying to get a positive answer that why should I get into business, So and they are trying to minimize risk as much as possible. But please understand, in business you cannot have 0% risk. It can never be that scenario. And that is the reason that you do your homework, you do your analysis, paralysis, whatever, and then you jump into it. You just don't keep thinking and commenting on the same thing again and again. So I would say that one should do a worst case analysis, and as long as people have value to deliver and they have planned to continue to deliver value, they should jump into the businesses and leave rest to Allah. That barakah would come.
Inshallah. So moving on to in continuation to this, risking running your own business. Somebody who wants to move to UK or move overseas, Jahangir, what are the end customer expectations? What are the basis of success when you move overseas?
So Adil, one from the if you look at from the jobs point of view, and again I'm talking about the access network and the fiber side. Maybe Veqar Saab can shed some more light on the automation and the on the software side. But we need people with a diploma holder and even an intermediate degree would combined with their experience in this field in Pakistan, at least couple of years, should be good enough. And the other thing is that what I've seen in terms of the employers here in UK, there is some certifications which are local health and safety certifications, some local compliance and some local standards. So those trainings in Access Network are not more than 2 weeks trainings. So that is critical. From the employer point of view, they are looking for flexible people, which normally people coming from the developing countries are. They are not saying we don't want to work they are willing to work extra hours. They have the flexibility to take them on. Our local people are generally more humble. So our clients are loving people from the developing world because they are flexible, they are hardworking, and they are being target driven. So I would say that the experience and the rating from people coming and people coming from the developing worlds know the only way they will succeed is to work very hard and go beyond the call of duty. So I think local certifications, 2-3 weeks, the education things I've already mentioned. Other than that, it's just the ability to communicate well when you're working with them, be transparent with them, because generally in our culture, we remain quiet about a lot of things. While the culture here is that they want transparency, they want you to be open about things, and you can. It's not wrong to disagree. Uh,
Right.
in developing countries and also in Middle East, the concept is that you cannot disagree at all. I'm not saying you have to disagree. I mean, you could have a different opinion, you could have a different way of doing the things. So this is generally what I've seen is something very positive. The other positive thing about the European countries in particular is that they are planning for long term. The plans are 5 years, 10 years. So that gives a lot of that gives you a very clear path to take the individuals from coming from a certain role to a certain role. So I think that's something very positive, and that's one of the reasons that people should also think that they should not come and look for short-term gains. They should come and build their careers, because things wouldn't change much. Nothing topsy-turvy is going to happen so soon, And good ethics, again, as Veqar earlier mentioned, are something very fundamental. You just have to be honest about the things.
Great. Veqar sir, what are your thoughts? What do you think would be the basis of success when you move overseas?
I think Jahangir has already talked about it, and one of the things I would advise for people who are moving from developing countries like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Philippines. Look, there is a reason why majority of these countries are developing. Some are, of course, developing faster than others, or some are underdeveloped. And one of the reasons is the acceptance of below average or mediocrity as a fait accompli. Now, the international world does not work on the standards which we have set for ourselves in the developing world. And that is one key mindset shift that people need to understand. Ahmad spoke about the fact that we are exporting services and not product, and it's a shame. We should be exporting a lot more products and developing a lot more products rather than just the services. But one of the reasons we have not been able to develop product is because we think developing a product is a simple thing that can be done, literally by someone having a dream last night and he can develop in software this morning. I mean, we've made software literally a joke in the way we approach it. And that includes everyone, because our education standard teach you to cut processes, find, if I may use the word jugaad, as the only and ultimate means of innovation. Do these band-aid treatments, don't follow the processes, don't follow the steps that are needed to do certain things. So I think the first thing is rest will happen, is to understand that the discipline of working internationally is very different to the discipline of working locally. Just hard work alone will not cut it for you. You got to learn to follow the principles which drive those societies. And I'll give you a small example. I mean, very few people will stand in traffic light when it is red, right? And especially when no one is watching, because it is given that it is acceptable. But once you go out, it is not acceptable, right? And it is not just acceptable by law, but people will not see you in good light, even when you are not caught and when nobody is watching. Because so upgrading yourself and upgrading your standards to match the requirements and the minimum expectation of those markets is fundamental when anyone is thinking of moving abroad. And again, if the intent is to move abroad and make a career, if the intent is to move abroad, make some money and come back, then You can have a fly-by-night kind of a thinking, but that doesn't cut it. But if you want to go long-term and go far in your international journey or in your quest to make career internationally, then you got to learn the basics and you got to do more work on them and raise your level.
Right. Great. Thank you. Mr. Ahmad Manzoor, what do you think?
For me, actually, the most important thing, ethics. Just Veqar bhai said and Sir Jahangir said already that ethics will be very important. Right now, the thing is, if there is a guy, Veqar bhai used a wonderful word that is called jugaad. So when somebody actually, there is a difference between CC and P. If I go into the network side, CC and P here in Pakistan and CC and P outside the outside world. So there is a difference, hell of a difference between both of guys. So people normally what they do, they took the skill, they took the degree, but they miss the knowledge actually, the core.
Okay.
So people have the skill, okay, they are doing the work, okay, that's it. But there is, they have the degree, but there is knowledge is missing in between. And the knowledge is the most important part to grow in any field.
Right.
So I think if somebody wants to go outside, they must have the knowledge and must be ethical as well to work with other people.
Great. So we'll move on to our final question for this podcast, and then after that we'll move on to the audience questions. The final question is, I'll start with Jahangir, with you. What are the cases of Pakistani expatriates, who have succeeded, and why? A few prominent cases, if you could, name some.
Adil, basically, as I mentioned earlier, there are 5 people we hired, and these one of the resources has become a chief operation officer in our own company, and he's managing a team of more than 40 plus in-house resources and about 50 plus self-employed bases. And he's also becoming well known in the local industry. So that is one case I know. As far as the other well-known cases, we know the couple of lords who are in UK. They were people who came in this country, and their fathers were like bus drivers, and they grew. The Cash and Curry example, that's a big chain in UK, again with a very humble background. And Sir Anwar Pervez, he owns, I think, Cash and Curry as well as United Bank Limited. So there are quite a few cases. Then there are, there's a very large recruitment firm, I can't recall the name. So he has also done, an amazing job in the country. So we see in UK that a lot of people who are coming from developing worlds have created a big impact. Like even the Prime Minister of UK is an Indian. So if we look at this country, they are very open about people coming from the outside world. They're looking for ethics, they're looking for talent, and also what change can they bring in. So it's a living example of many people have done it, and that's a source of encouragement that nobody's going to be held up because of their nationality, because of their religious background, or these kind of things.
Of course, you are one of the examples as well, establishing your business over 2 years ago, and now expanding onto different countries. Veqar Saab, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I mean, Jahangir has answered. There are many examples of local people going abroad and succeeding. I mean, when I was part of Nokia and Comtel, I was amongst top executive of the world, right? But I know people who are heading the Middle East Africa region for top companies, who are heading chief operating officers of global companies. But it is about doing the basics right, and that is the key. Since your question is specific to Pakistan, I mean, Indians they've done a brilliant job in terms of growth, and they're actually, many of them are chief executive of top companies of the world. Take Microsoft, take Google. My own, when I used to work for Nokia, was someone from India who was heading Nokia around the world. So many examples. But there are a few things which are fundamental. First is, and we can't emphasize enough, integrity and ethics. And integrity and ethics is not just about financials. It is about your work ethics. It is about your transparency. It is about accepting mistakes. It is about, meeting commitments and not just trying to find ways to wriggle out of it, and many others, right? So that's the fundamental that everyone needs to accept. World, especially the developed world, have different standards of ethics and integrity than sadly what we have set for ourselves. Once that piece is done, then next is your ambition, your ability to go above and beyond what you are asked to do, and your ability to make an impact. Because the opportunities they will provide without any, thinking around your background, your color of skin, for most part. I mean, there will always be exception, but the society in general provide you with an opportunity to grow and scale, as long as you are willing to do the basics right, and you have the desire to go and scale. As we have seen, I mean, we've heard this phrase many times, why people who do not do well in developing world do so well in the developed world. Because the reason is very simple, that here everything works in a very chaotic manner. So people find it difficult to grow. But once people go into a system where things are done in a lawful manner, in an orderly manner, and they have ways, in any case, working in a chaotic system to find ways to make an impact. So they become very successful, because in an orderly world, it becomes that much more easier for them to navigate their way through and succeed in life. So hence you see many people who do not do well in developing world do exceptionally well in international world, because all they were waiting for is the right system, because they had all the other ingredients ready, and the moment they get that system, they start to excel. But the system in developing world doesn't provide for enough opportunity for them to excel, and they're all the time managing crisis and trying to deal with one chaos after the other. So that would be my take on the subject.
Great. Mr. Ahmad, if you could, quickly sum it up as well with your response.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Ji. What are the cases of many Pakistanis and expatriates who have succeeded, and why? What do you think about it?
Basically, it depends. Like, many Pakistanis are working exponentially in outside, but like I have a person who is working for the Duracell. He's leading the whole Europe. He's typically not a sales guy, he's an engineer, but he's working as a business development head for the Europe. So people are working, right? So the ethics, again, the point, I'm stood the same place, that like ethics and the knowledge. If you have those both things and match them, then you work like hell.
Right. Great. Thank you. So our main questions, for the interactive questions are over. We move on to the pre-submitted audience questions. My team has been selecting them, and I would start with Mr. Jahangir, with you. That why NETS chose the topic jobs and business immigration, and what is the focus of NETS on giving back and development of human talent? Could you, you've already covered it up in your intro. If you could just, give us a little more insight into it.
Yes, Adil, as businesses, we normally keep looking at revenue and profitability. But, CSR is a very important part that companies have to play in the society. The government can't do it alone. And in the end, whatever good that you do, it comes back to you. what we have seen as a company is that whomever we have trained, they have really liked the initiative of getting trained. They've gone to good companies, they have created more jobs, and they have even given more business to us. So what you even do from the goodness perspective, it comes back to you one way or the other. The other thing is the field that we are into, there is so much potential that we can't cover it alone. So opening up opportunities for the others does not actually limit us. It creates further growth.
Right.
And the last thing is, that if we do these things collaboratively, this will make a bigger market, and will create a better world.
Right. Another question also related to you, Jahangir. You talked about access network. So what is the opportunity for access network rollout? And you talked a bit about empowering Broadband UK in the start as well. If you could just, reiterate your thoughts on it. Somebody probably joined in late, asked this question.
Yeah, so Adil, what I mentioned on the access network side is it's a fiber infrastructure piece. Only 42% of the UK is connected, and mostly this is London and till the Midland. The North is still quite unconnected. Even London and the Midland is a large portion still to be connected. So with 58% of the country still remaining unconnected, and as I said, it's a government mandate to get up to 85% by 2025, and by 2030 they want to be as close to 100% as possible. And the government grants are there, encouraging the local operators and the contractors to build this. So that is why we feel, and we are witnessing ourselves, that the opportunities are there. It's just how smart are we to tap them?
Right. So we are going to tap them as Nets International, and there is an opportunity for everyone. Mr. Veqar, the question has come for you as well. What technical certifications help the most Pakistanis in an international market or in Pakistan, either access network or outside, and for other technology areas such as information security or automation? Could you shed some light for our audience?
See, I always struggle with these kind of questions. I'm not into certification, so you're asking a wrong guy. If the question is what sort of knowledge I acquire, and in the bargain I get certification, I'll be happy to answer that. The problem is we are so obsessed with certifications and degrees that we forget something that I mentioned initially, that it's the knowledge which is critical. Now, what sort of knowledge you should have in today's world, that is critical question for you to know. And for that, you don't need to look far. Do Google. These days, ChatGPT is more or less, overtaking the world with the speed it is coming in. Check what AI can do for you. You ask ChatGPT to make a sales plan for you, it will make it for you. You ask ChatGPT to make a launch plan, it will do it for you. You write a wrong letter and ask them to correct it, they'll correct it for you. So AI is big thing. Data, the whole world is about data, right? Amount of data, imagine the kind of data each one of us generate every single day. We are talking on this podcast, we are all generating data, and we are creator of the content. This has never happened on the global scale. Each one of us is creating a content, and sending it out there. So imagine the kind of data that is needed. You've got to know data, right? Imagine the way the world is getting connected. Jahangir spoke about fiber, but think about how world is getting connected through IoT. Billions of devices are getting connected, and if you think world is not enough connected today, think again. The world is going to be ridiculously intimately connected that we can never imagine possible. So learn IoT, right? And you can go on, blockchain. it is going to come. Whether we like it or not, it is going to come, right? Uh, so on and so forth. So learn the technologies which are coming in, and then pick your areas of interest and develop knowledge. In the bargain, yes, get certification as well. It helps. But the essence of any knowledge should never be certification. It should be to acquire knowledge and learn. That will get you far, not your certificates when you don't know and you just needed a piece of paper. So change your objectives.
Change your objectives. Excellent. But I heard a little word called blockchain, and I saw Mr. Ahmad smiling. So, Mr. Ahmad, would you comment on it as well? What kind of technology, since you are into it, and you've been traveling globally, giving trainings and lectures.
Basically, Veqar bhai is right. Like I have 150 plus certifications, but that is not only the certifications actually. Those are certifications without dumps. People are normally using dumps for the certifications. So they get the paper and they do not have any knowledge. So right. I have passed those certifications through knowledge and failed many times and then passed. Right? This is not something. Okay. So I just that is a milestone for me. I just write a milestone. Jahangir Sahab knows. Actually, Jahangir Sahab told me that idea, that how to build up the milestones and go forward and move forward. So this is his idea. Obviously, I am his product. So basically, when you have something like Veqar bhai, right, that blockchain is the future. But how that is the future? That is not in the cryptocurrencies. That is a record-keeping system, right? So blockchain is a record-keeping system, and where is the record, where is the data, you need a blockchain. Then AI, the productivity tool, you need it. And the IoT, basically you need the IoT to gather data. And that data should save on the blockchain and AI will use that data. So you need to understand that triangle. This is the next 10 years that this tech triangle will come into the life in next 10 years. The 2030 is a goal for everything. Like any technology will work at that time, inshallah. So that is basically what's going on.
Great. I think we need to have a separate session on podcast on it with you separately, Mr. Manzoor, on blockchain and IoTs. Another question come in from for Mr. Veqar as well. I live in Pakistan, and is moving abroad and finding job overseas really the best choice for me? Somebody in the audience asked.
I don't know if it's the best choice or not, but if you want to move for all the right reasons, why not? So I'm not averse to many Pakistanis having this idea of overseas Pakistanis. I love them. I think if they are moving for all the right reasons, why shouldn't they? And they become, we are living in what we call globally connected world. Each one of us must learn to become a global citizen. And I don't care whether you're living in Pakistan or you're living somewhere else. You got to be ready to accept global standards and start applying them wherever you are. If in the bargain you get an opportunity to move out and grow, why not? Why should it be stopped? So I'm all for it. I mean, you become ambassadors of the country, do the right things for the country, be an ambassador of your family, religion, country every time you are out, set higher standards. So for some, it may be the best option and they should take it. For others, it may not be their best option because they are leaving for wrong reasons. So, I would not advise people to leave for desperation, because then you are bound to make mistakes, and that sometimes may be quite detrimental to your future. But if you've given it well thought out, structured thinking, and you think it is the right thing for you and it has an opportunity for you to grow, not just yourself, but your family and your future generation, please do. Sure. I mean, but do it for right reasons, not out of desperation. Great. Do it for your future. And this thought that just because someone will leave Pakistan, he will have a future, that's a wrong thought. Because we have all seen many Pakistanis abroad who are struggling a lot more than what they do in Pakistan. Because they carried on with their practices from Pakistan and that didn't help. And then they went for desperation rather than having a plan in mind and why they are moving abroad. It's nonsense to move just because there is nothing in this country. That I find quite bizarre as an argument and would never advise anyone to do that. Make sure you make a well thought out move. You do it with a short to mid-term or a long-term plan and you work towards those plans and then do it.
Great, great. Mr. Ahmad Manzoor, given your experience as well, what would be your advice to the next generation to have a successful life, whether it's personal work-life balance or versus overseas migration or versus entrepreneurship? What would be your advice?
My advice is very simple, actually. Do whatever you want to do, actually. What do you like? Basically, nowadays everybody want to Veqar bhai actually mentioned ChatGPT. So everybody right now, everybody is making the chatbot. Everybody. If you talk to somebody, what are you doing? I'm making a chatbot. So they think that is going to be sold by $7 billion. No, that is not. That's the whole idea already sold out. Now you need to do something new. So you need to be innovator as well. You think with your brain. When anybody say to me, come to me, like he want to move to Dubai for a job, to search a job or something like that, and they have no plans. So I always ask them, okay, do not go there. Before that, make a plan. How many meetings you got, how many people you want to meet, and then go there. Because you have 7 days, 1 month, need to be very productive. So this is important for everybody, of all of us actually. Like I am as an entrepreneur, I do not waste my time, right? If I am going somewhere, like I want to travel to Islamabad for some meeting or something, then every minute cost me there. So I need a proper plan. Then the same thing for others. Like if you are working for a job, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a businessman, everything you need to do as a plan, not like just do it. So this is basically the important part.
Great. Jahangir, the next question is for you. Somebody has asked that if we get opportunity in UK jobs, how Nets is going to help them in the transition and moving on to the UK market?
Yeah, okay. Adil, let's keep it the last question because we already exceeded time. We have 4 podcasts coming in. And in any case, on the blog, let's give them how they can contact us. So for everyone, you want to send your profile, you email at careers@nets-international.com. Plus, you can go to our website. You go to careers, you will have all the open jobs. Please see the blog also. It has all the details that what are the immigration requirements, what are the cost of living, what kind of job options are open, what portals you can find the information. So please see that in detail. Now, coming to the question, and Adil, if you can make this the last question.
Sure, of course.
So from what I understand, if somebody has got a job not in Nets and he has got a job somewhere else, if I'm understanding that right, so anybody who gives a job in UK, my assumption is that they would have a sponsorship license and they would apply a skilled visa for the selected resource. What Nets can do, and that is also part of the reason of the podcast, was to tell you that what will your employer be expecting, what will make you succeed there. Plus, the blog contains all the information about the cost of living, about the basic certifications we require in the access network field. If your employer cannot issue you a visa or something, so that is, we would need to have a separate conversation around that what can we do, and we can go to the resource outsourcing route, because resource outsourcing is generally not allowed in UK. most of the people that we sponsor have to come and work for us.
Okay, great. So, having exceeded our time already, thank you all. And I would like to thank each of the guests for taking their time out from the busy schedule for this CSR initiative and extending their support to NETS International and giving back to the society. The major takeaways for all the audience for this podcast are there are ample jobs and business opportunities present overseas in overseas market for the talented and skilled resources, and for those who would like to learn relevant skills for qualifying for the overseas opportunities. NETS is here to help you. Of course, NETS has the opportunities available, but then again, for everyone else to actually realize that they need to learn also about the society where you're planning to move. Learn key skills. Always keep learning. And for the corporates, they have to invest in people, and your investment is going to pay off many folds. Having said that, thank you all for joining us in, and stay tuned for our next podcast, which is going to be on the 24th of this month, and that is going to cover the next way. That is, what is like to be working for NETS, and what is NETS doing for their employees, the NETS at itself as a company. And I would like to thank the wonderful audience for their participation and making this live podcast a success. Be sure to like and follow our social media pages for staying up to date on latest opportunity, news, and events. So thank you, Veqar Saab. Thank you, Ahmad Manzoor Saab. Thank you, Jahangir Saab. And thank you, all the audience. See you next time. Thank you.
Exactly. Take care.
Thank you, Rijad.